Hello, everyone. So, I have a guest with me today. You may have noticed from the Facebook post. We have a returning guest. Her name is Carlye, and she's a good friend of mine from high school, but she's now studying epidemiology over at UF. So, I'm going to give her the stage, and we have a PowerPoint up here on the middle of the screen, so you should be able to see that. So, is there anything you want to say before we start, Carlye?
Oh, I'm gonna correct you. I'm actually not studying epidemiology, fun fact.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually my concentration in the Master of Public Health program is social and behavioral sciences.
Okay.
Um, but moving on. Hi everyone. Um, I'm going to talk to you about the Charlie Sheen effect, which you're probably like, what is that? Oh wait, we're on Jono Explains Things, so I'm gonna explain it to you.
Clever use of the
Okay.
title.
Oh, thank you. And I also put public health fun facts because this is going to be fun. You can switch to the next slide. So Charlie Sheen, who is he? We know he's an actor. He's been an actor for a long time. Most, I guess, notorious for Two and a Half Men. Everyone loved that show. I think actually, um, he is known as the most highly paid actor on primetime network television
I'd believe
for
that.
that. Sure. I think for that show. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's a fun fact. Anyway, so he had addiction issues. Obviously led him to get in trouble with the law and say some very interesting things on TV interviews. And he is also very opposed to vaccinations, which, from a public health standpoint, is quite problematic. But this all together makes him a very polarizing figure, which is why what I say next might shock you. So, next slide. So on November 17th, 2015, he publicly disclosed his HIV status on NBC's Today Show. Um, and this was a big deal. Apparently, been um, diagnosed, or he knew that he had HIV 4 years earlier. And he admits that he paid approximately, I think he said, 10 from exploiting this information.
I think we lost you for a second. What was the last
The,
sentence you said?
oh, that he paid people approximately $10 million to stay quiet about this
Okay. Yeah.
for like 4 years, I think. So fun facts. The San Diego State University did research on the impact of his disclosure, specifically on HIV. And next slide. Um, they found an increase in internet searches about HIV and HIV tests, and then a follow-up survey or study, and found that they had record levels of sales increase of at-home testing kits called OraQuick. And the interesting about that is, so like OraQuick is an HIV test that you can do at home. So in terms of like being someone that's afraid that you have HIV, that would be great because you're like scared maybe to go and seek help.
Mhm.
So you could do it at home. I think I looked it up. If you get it from the website, it's like $39. But that's not counting shipping, which is currently like $10. So it's kind of pricey, but I guess if you don't want to look into local resources that you can utilize in your community to go get HIV testing, it's great. Um, and also, the other interesting thing about this is he didn't do a call to action when he said he had HIV. He wasn't like, hey, you should look into HIV and get yourself tested. He didn't say anything like that. And it still prompted millions of online search queries of HIV prevention and testing. And like I said, record level of sales increase for that at home testing kit. So it was 8 times more than the sales around World AIDS Day, which is like the biggest event for HIV prevention. So
Mhm.
it's really interesting. So next slide is the actual OraQuick. I just wanted to explain. It's basically like a mouth swab. Um, the diagram's probably really tiny, but it just shows that It shows that it comes with like step-by-step instructions so you can understand if your test was accurate or not. There's a lot of other options for HIV testing, such as the mouth swab called OraSure. Um, that is what I do as an HIV testing counselor. And you send it to the lab, and it takes about like approximately 2 weeks, and then it comes back. So I guess you could argue it's a little bit more accurate because it's obviously through a lab instead of just like a quick 20-minute test. Like the OraQuick takes 20 minutes and you do it at home. The OraSwab is a little bit more cautious for even shorter window. There's tests that take blood samples, and all of these determine if your body made antibodies for HIV. Um, so yeah, going to the next slide, which is the public health relevance. So the researchers were able to predict sales within 7% for any week based on the internet searches, which is like really cool when you think about it because we have all this data, from the internet now
Big
and
data.
like big data from the internet searches and such. And I feel like we're all very hesitant on using it, but we really should start like using it to our best ability because like we can make future public health decisions based on this, like we just saw how one person just disclosing that they had HIV in 2015, how much that skyrocketed like people's interest and curiosity with HIV. And I mean, that's the whole point of public health is making prevention happen, making education happen. And it was just awesome that that's what happened. And it's cool that it has its own name, the Charlie Sheen effect, when like, you think of Charlie Sheen. I mean, like I said, he's a polarizing figure. So it's really interesting that that's kind of become the face of a new way of thinking of things. And also another big thing, it proved a lot of theories in the fact that, oh, am I still here?
Yeah.
Oh, I made weird noises I heard. Anyway, empathy is, like I said, a key motivator if targeted toward an individual rather than a group. So for World AIDS Day and a lot of other events, I feel like they talk about people in general, people that live with HIV. Um, and it's harder to connect with people in a group than it is for an individual, specifically telling their narrative.
Hmm.
Um, and that's something we learned through this disclosure. So that's really it. I just find it really interesting. And yeah, if you
Yeah.
have any questions.
So no, no, I think that's definitely interesting to see that, especially with the idea that someone having such influence can have that effect on a population in the world that we live in today, just because we're so connected, and especially with all of the different um, media outlets, whether it be social media and ways of sharing things. It definitely it's crazy to look back at what might have happened had that happened maybe even 5 years before, or maybe because you said
Yeah.
he held out on talking about it for about 4 years. So
Yeah,
if you
I
think
think so.
about like 4 years before when social media wasn't as uh,
Big.
heavily intertwined in our society, whether that would have had as significant of an effect.
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting thing is we know celebrity endorsements work. We know when like a celebrity says any sort of ad, people are more, likely to listen, but he didn't even have a call to action. He wasn't saying go get tested, look into it, nothing like that. He just
Mm,
simply stated it. So that was an interesting aspect of it, I think.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm not seeing any questions in the chat. If you have any questions, you can leave, and you're not watching this live, you can leave those in the comments, and I'm sure I'll be in contact with Carlye in order to get those answered. But from here, we're just going to move on to our second section,